Well, I'm having some technical audio issues. As surprise, surprise, I have returned. I'm also having some camera issues as well. Trying to adjust the camera to see if I can straighten it out. I guess this isn't as good as it's going to be at this point, but this is Let Us Interrupt, episode 111, here on Tuesday, February 14th, 2023. I am Joseph Olivo. I do apologize for the long, extended absence. I was going through some stress. My grandma was going through dementia. There's been a lot of issues within that I needed to drop what I was doing. And it was getting busy at work. I was overworked. I'm tired once again. And once again, when you're just writing the show by yourself, it's almost impossible to get anything going, like simply to just to clear your head. I mean, I know I just went on an extended vacation, but it just came rushing back way too fast. Super Bowl Sunday happened last Sunday. The Kansas City Chiefs are now your Super Bowl champions. Mahomes is now a two-time Super Bowl champion, two-time league MVP, and two-time Super Bowl MVP. And this is actually the theme song I was actually going to open the show up with, but apparently this is actually one of my favorite songs. Nope. Supposed to be bleeded though. I'm not taking that out though. It's actually a really good song when you think about it, really. But yeah, a lot of crazy stuff has happened. AFC division round, obviously you all know the results from that by now. But the Bengals beat the Bills. The Bengals then lost to the Chiefs. Eagles beat the Giants. We already know what happened there. Cowboys lost to the 49ers. We already know what happens there. 49ers then play the Eagles. The Eagles smash them, and kaboom, kabang comes the Chiefs-Eagles, probably one of the best Super Bowl matches we've seen that I actually have watched since Super Bowl 51, which involved the Patriots and the Falcons. That was one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. I don't think anything's going to top that Super Bowl. But this came close. This Super Bowl came close. This had all the dramas that people would expect. Mahomes, once again, down by 10 in the Super Bowl. And once again, he was able to come back, prevail, and help the team get the W. Mahomes was 21 for 27, 182 yards, though, and 3 touchdowns. Didn't even need to throw for 200 yards in this game to win. It was really developed with great special teams. Kadarius Toney had set up for a 65-yard punt return that set up for a 5-yard touchdown pass. I believe that drive was either on Sky Moore, and I think it was on Sky Moore, who got a touchdown reception. Kadarius Toney got a touchdown in the game as well. I believe I want to say Kelsey got a touchdown as well, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he did. Nick Bolton, I know, got a fumble recovery for the Chiefs for a touchdown. I'm not going in order here on how the scoring happened here. Jalen Hurts tied a Super Bowl record that was created by Terrell Davis with 3 rushing touchdowns. And he's the only quarterback in NFL history to have 300 passing yards in the game and 70 rushing yards in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts played great, though. He had a deep dagger to A.J. Brown for 45 yards out. Had some deep daggers to Devontae Smith, which set up for a touchdown there. There was a lot of drama that happened in this game. And it all unraveled with a holding call in the end that went against James Bradbury, holding on Juju Smith-Schuster. This was the right call. He grabbed him twice. He was tugging on the jersey. It was plainly obvious. It was. It would have been a touchdown for Juju Smith-Schuster if he would have grabbed it. This ball was still in play. It was still in bounds. Now, I would get mad if it was a holding call and the ball was completely out of bounds, but that happened twice last year with Stafford, with the Bengals and Rams game. If you go back and watch that game where Stafford threw those balls, they were not catchable. One was in the stands, one was out of bounds, short of the stands, in the red zone. It was bad. It was a bad read. This set up for a 25-yard, I believe it was a 25-yard field goal, if I'm not mistaken. That gave the Chiefs a 38-35 lead. And that's all he needed. Jalen Hurts tried to go for a deep Hail Mary. He came up short. That was the end of it there. Mahomes is your MVP. Now, and like I said before, a 2-time Super Bowl champion a 2-time league MVP, and a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He's chasing now Brady at this point. The goal is to get to Brady at this point. I mean, you can surpass 6 pretty easily at this point if you're Brady. Mahomes, I think, can do it. There's no other way of looking at it. The guy's a legend. That's all you need to know at this point. The guy is an up and coming legend. It's not a dynasty yet, but Mahomes had a legendary performance once again. This guy had a banged up ankle, re-injured the high ankle sprain that he injured in the AFC division round against the Jags. Which, by the way, I forgot to mention the Chiefs beat the Jags in the division round. Everyone was not watching that game and trying to figure out how they got to the Super Bowl. Well, they beat the Jags. They beat the Jags. They beat the Bengals. And they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think the Chiefs might be one of the dynasty builders right now. One of the greatest dynasty builders right now today, because Andy Reid's going to retire at this point with more rings than Bill Belichick. By all intents and purposes. Because think about this for a minute. Andy Reid just needs at least 7 more rings to surpass Bill Belichick as far as coordinator goes. Because he won one with Brett Favre. He's now won 2 with Mahomes. So he's already got 3. He's already got 3 rings, by the way. He's 3-2 in the Super Bowl. He's been to 5 Super Bowls already at this point. And let's think about this in retrospect of things. If Andy Reid ends up somehow getting those rings, in the end, getting at least 7, or at this point, he needs 6 more rings. So if he gets 6 more rings and he ends up with 9, you could argue right now that Andy Reid's a greater head coach than Bill Belichick, and probably one of the greatest coordinators. And if it really wasn't for Andy Reid, Brett Favre would never be in the conversation right now, for one of the greats to ever play football too. I mean, he put himself in there with Marino, with Manning, with Montana, with Unitas, with Brady. It's right there. With Kurt Warner, I'm going to put that name in there too. Ben Roethlisberger, you can argue if he was a leader or not. But Brett Favre, and even Aaron Rodgers today. And even, if you want to, and now Mahomes joins that list. Brett Favre worked with Andy Reid, if anyone wants to remember that time. He was with the Packers back in their days, in the Super Bowl days. And I think Andy Reid, if you think about this for a minute, in his career, as far as coordinator goes, was a coordinator with the Green Bay Packers when they went to the Super Bowl in 96 and 97. He was 1-1 there. He lost to Bill Belichick in the Patriots. Or I should say Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Actually, let me rephrase that. He lost to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. He's 1-2. He now, almost a decade later, pretty much, almost 15 years later, wins a ring with Mahomes as they beat the 49ers. Him and Mahomes and Bebe, if you want to put that in the put those 3 in the same conversation, because they do belong there. I don't want to be leaving names out at this point, but that's a fact. But yeah, if you think about it, really, it's all set up for Mahomes at this point now, going forward, as being the next Tom Brady. Andy Reid's going to be the next Bill Belichick, if not even surpass Bill Belichick. And for years to come, we're going to have the argument at this point that, and a lot of people are going to are asking me, if Andy Reid was with Bill Parcells, would he have had more rings? Probably. If Andy Reid had Mahomes 20 years ago, would he be at the Brady level right now? Would Brady and Mahomes be equal? Probably. I'd say definitely now at this point. And Mahomes, by the way, the first African-American quarterback to have 2 Super Bowl wins. By the way, Jalen Hurts and Mahomes, first time ever the 2 African-American quarterbacks, black quarterbacks to be exact, went head-to-head. They're not really African. I don't believe they're African-American. I'm not really sure what Hurts is. Another way of looking at it is that Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce faced off. That's the first time 2 brothers faced off that were players that ever faced off in NFL history. It had 113 million viewers, the 3rd highest ever for a Super Bowl on Fox ever. That's a fact. I mean, there was a lot of history that was made in this Super Bowl, and a lot of people don't really want to admit it, but Andy Reid at this point with Eric Bieniemy by his side and with Mahomes, they're a juggernaut at this point. That is a combination right there. That is a lethal combination. The guy made everybody miss Rihanna. That's the worst thing you could do is make people miss Rihanna during a Super Bowl performance. Luckily, all their wives taped it for them, so all the players were able to watch it when they get home. But this is another Super Bowl now for the sixth time now where they had to come back from 10 points down, a team. Had to come back from 10 points down to win the game. The Chiefs outscored the Philadelphia Eagles in this game 24-11 in the second half. 24-11. Philadelphia, by the way, can't cover. Just FYI. They can't cover for crap. You want to know what made their defense look good? It was their front four, their front seven, the linebacking core and the nose tackle and the linebackers, the defensive ends, you name it. The rest of it is questionable because of all the motion plays that Kansas City had, all the wide receivers in motion, then they fake back, then they end up double teaming the wrong guy and leave the other guy wide open. I mean, there were a lot of dumb mistakes by Philadelphia in this game defensively that just left me shaking my head because they just can't stop anyone. And it happened 3 different times. These weren't, it actually got to a point where it was just laughable because and really they can't cover Kelsey, they can't cover Kadarius Toney, they can't cover Juju Smith, they can't cover Sky Moore. Sky Moore, who's got to be the most easiest wide receiver to cover on the team, they can't cover him. I mean, in the red zone, it's just sad, really. It's really sad how Philadelphia really looked towards the end of that game Sunday night, and it sucks because if you think about it, it is what it is. I mean, Philadelphia at this point is tipping cars over before games and they're tipping over cars after games. They're a nutty fan base, but the Eagles have got to be the dumbest franchise around because they always pick up defensive players that don't cover. Darius Slade Jr. had an overrated year. He was never really that great as a defensive back. He was never really a great cover guy. Okay? He had one great year, which happened to be this year, that he was covering great. But otherwise, when it really counted, when it really mattered, he didn't really show up in this game. He was exposed. He couldn't cover Juju Smith-Schuster. He couldn't cover Travis Kelce. He couldn't cover any of them. What more can I say about this game, really? But Jalen Hurts was a star in this game, too. Jalen Hurts did his best in this game. You could have argued right now, despite Mahomes only throwing over 182 yards, Jalen Hurts could have gotten this MVP by a loss. Could have gotten the Super Bowl MVP. It wouldn't be the first time a Super Bowl MVP was given out to the loser in a game. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's happened before. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure it happened once. And I already have an early prediction for next season right now when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they repeat next year. I think they get Mahomes back as a Super Bowl MVP candidate. I think he wins the Super Bowl MVP for the 3rd straight time in his career, and he gets another ring on top of it. The guy can do it. It doesn't matter if you have this team down by 10, by 20, by 30, they'll come back and win. They have that mental drive. Mahomes is the next Tom Brady. He's already thinking about the next Super Bowl at this point. And I think, honestly, when you got a complete bandwagon together like the Kansas City Chiefs, because that's what they are, a bandwagon, and an up-and-coming dynasty, it's going to happen. Mahomes is going to probably pass Tom Brady. I can already see it now. He'll be 3-1 next season right now if he wins next season's Super Bowl, which was the exact same record that Brady had before, at his peak. When really Brady never really peaked till this past season, but you get my point of as far as peakness goes when it comes to consistency. Brady was 3-0 going into his 4th Super Bowl. Mahomes will be going to his 4th Super Bowl at 2-1. I really can't see him going in 2-2. I can't imagine Mahomes the next year losing the next Super Bowl. I just can't imagine it. That team's got too many weapons. They're great defensively. They got great coordinators such as Eric Bieniemy and David. I can't think of the Spagano. I think I can't say the guy's last name. I used to say it perfectly before. I just tongue-tied myself. But you get the point. But the whole thing of it is with that great unit of players and the great coordinators that are on this team, you got to give it to them. You got to give it to Matt Nagy. You got to give it to Spogliano. You got to give it to Biedme. You got to give it to Andy Reid. Andy Reid, who is 71 years old, is not going to retire anytime soon. I wouldn't even, if I'm Andy Reid, I wouldn't even consider it at this point. I would keep coaching right now until I croak. If I was Andy Reid, that's what I would do. That's what I would do. This was a great Super Bowl game, great matchup last night, or not last night, last Sunday night. Excuse me. And I think realistically, you could argue now that this is probably going to tie up the overtime Super Bowl game of 51, because out of all the other Super Bowls I've watched over the years, like 52, felt like a Madden game. It felt like someone was playing a video game controller, and Brady malfunctioned in the end and fumbled it, and boom, Philadelphia scored 41 points. Brady threw for 505 yards. Unreal stats. The next year, the crappy Super Bowl, one of the worst Super Bowls of all time. Patriots win 13-3. I mean, 54 the following year, it was the second best one since 51. 55, you could argue, was a slaughter for Tampa Bay with Tom Brady's debut with Tampa Bay that season. 56 was a good game. It was confusing at times. Joe Burrow being sacked nearly 10 times in that game last season. And then the two holding calls that just gave the Rams a victory in a neutral site Super Bowl, which was played in LA, which was in their home. And it was a joke of a game because nobody cared to the fans in the stands. The performances were lame. Rihanna performed for this year's Super Bowl, was the first pregnant performer to ever perform in a Super Bowl. And she did great, and she was much better last year than that performance, what it was last year with 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, and Snoop Dogg, and whatever else was there, Eminem. That was pretty much. It was just too many artists, too many, combinations that just left me shaking my head. A lot of people loved it last year, I think because they figured, we got something to watch this time around, because this Super Bowl nobody cares about. This Super Bowl right here was the best Super Bowl I've watched since Super Bowl 51. Hands down. There has not been a better Super Bowl since, besides 54. I think 54 might have gotten topped. And I think this Super Bowl right here with Kansas City tied it up with the Patriots and Falcons. Yes, I know it's a 25-point comeback. It happened before. It'll probably never happen again. But the reality of it is that was a great Super Bowl. It really was. So I was gone for a little bit. Kyrie Irving went to Dallas Mavericks. Kevin Durant went to the Phoenix Suns. A lot of things have happened since I was gone. NBA trade deadlines. If you want my thought about the NBA trade deadline, who won it? The Suns won it because they got Kevin Durant. They got Kevin Durant now at this point, and they're now going to be favorites right now to win the NBA Finals. I think my prediction right now is they want to go to the NBA Finals and lose to the Boston Celtics in 7 games in Boston. I'm calling it right now. I will go to Game 7 of the NBA Finals and watch that game, just to make sure that happens. So that's my thought on that. Derek Jeter's going into the commentating booth for Fox for Major League Baseball on Fox for 2023. I think it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how he's going to fare out. I haven't really gotten a real thought on that today. I haven't really thought it out in my head of how that was going to play out, but I guess he'll be good. He'll be all right, I guess. Shane Sheckton, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, is now going to be the next head coach now for the Indianapolis Colts, so congratulations to him. It'll be interesting to see how this fares out with Jeff Saturday. He's going to keep a job there. He's going to be demoted down to a coordinator, or is he going back to ESPN? If I'm him, I would not be demoting myself to anything. I'd be going back to ESPN, go to NFL Live, go to NFL Primetime. He'd be a good coordinator. The problem is he's going to be asking for a lot of money. And for a guy who went 1-7 in his final 8 games as a head coach, I just don't see it. I do not see it. Defense coordinator Jonathan Gannon for the Philadelphia Eagles now going to be the Arizona Cardinals' next head coach. So again, congrats to him. Well deserved. Really well deserved for him. Good for him. I think he'll finally prove himself to be the Arizona Cardinals. Hopefully, the Cardinals are actually worth watching in 2023. That's all I got to say about that one. Former offensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs, Todd Bonkin, has been now named the offensive coordinator now for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson had something to do with it, apparently. That was according to a report today on CBS Sports. Hey, and I think I may remember this, but I think Todd Bobkin, and people, let me know if I'm wrong about this, but was Todd Bonican the offensive coordinator for Lamar Jackson in 2016 in his time with the Louisville Cardinal? I want to say he was. I'm pretty sure he wasn't, but I'm pretty sure I might be wrong about this, but I could have sworn I heard something like that maybe, because when I hear Lamar Jackson trying to reach out to an offensive coordinator who's in college, it usually means they had a connection in college at the time. But he came from Louisville, and I'm pretty sure and I could be wrong on this, but I think Todd Bonican might have been a coordinator for Louisville in his time with the Louisville Cardinals. I think Lamar Jackson was here from 2016 to 2018, if I'm not mistaken, or 2015 to 2018. But yeah, that's going to probably keep Lamar Jackson around in Baltimore. That's my take on that whole thing. So good for him. Well deserved. Celtics, all you got to know about the weekend with them is that they got Mike Musaka in a trade. I think that's also really all they had. Sam Hauser has been coming out on a huge note. My take on Sam Hauser and Mike Musaka, they're a good 1-2 punch. They remind me of Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo shooting threes. I don't know why. I just, when I see them, I see two tall guys. I think of Brook Lopez and I think of Giannis shooting threes. And if it's not them, and it's Bobby Portis. And I think Portis might be a little bit better than Musaka, but I mean, it's Sam Hauser has been on fire shooting threes lately. I'm drawing blanks now. I was gonna say something else, but I lost my train of thought. Josh Hart went to the Knicks. There was a lot of great NBA trades that happened. I don't have to listen from me for all the NBA trade deadlines. I could probably pull it up right now, actually, to give you the results. I can pull up on here. I can't do it anymore now. That's unfortunate. I was actually going to pull up the NBA trade deadline on my end. Derek Carr, picking up a lot of intriguement right now at this point, has told that he's not going to he's not going to release the no trade clause in his contract. He's going to be released, and he wants a big time contract, including $42 million extra $1 million, which I don't think he deserves it, but it is what it is. But Derek Carr is picking up intriguement right now from the Carolina Panthers and Frank Reich. So the question right now is Frank Reich and the Panthers going to cash in on this and overpay for another veteran quarterback? I don't know. To me, that's a little much for a guy who had a miserable year last year with the Raiders. Nothing's really changed about this game at all. Everyone wants to say it's not Derek Carr, it's the coaching that they have around him. I look at it like this. Derek Carr's overrated, if you want my honest opinion. Derek Carr is overrated. I'm just I'm calling like I see it. The guy is yet to win a playoff game. He's 0-2 in the postseason. And every time the Raiders have gone to the postseason, they've sucked. So, and they've never clinched it at home in the AFC West, and they're not going to. And Derek Carr just wants to run away from Patrick Mahomes. That's it. That's why he wants to leave the Las Vegas Raiders. That's why the Raiders want nothing to do with him. They know that they can't beat Patrick Mahomes. They know. So, realistically, that's all it is him running away from all of this. And it's sad, really. It is what it is. It's sad, but it is what it is. But it is what it is. What are you going to do? Baseball reported, Major League Baseball reported as of yesterday that they're going to keep the ghost runner on second base during extra innings for every regular season game now going forward. Alex Cora made a suggestion saying, quote, new enlarged bases that look like a pizza box. I wouldn't mind bigger bases, honestly. That would make the game more entertaining. I don't know if the bases they have now are the size of pizza boxes at this point, or bigger or smaller. I'm trying to imagine it in my head. I just can't get a good image of it right now. Vikings running back Dalvin Cook is going to undergo surgery on his shoulder. He's been dealing with that injury since 2019. It's about time you deal with that injury. Coming up later on tonight, the Celtics are playing the Bucks. The Magic are playing the Raptors. I think that's the Bruins are playing the Dallas Stars later on tonight as far as the hockey world goes. I'm just going by what's on my timeline here. We got Warriors and Clippers. We got Kings and the Suns. We got Wizards and the Trailblazers. By the way, no Kevin Durant because he's not coming back till after the All-Star break. Zion Williamson for the New Orleans Pelicans is out past the All-Star break with no realistic timetable for his return, out for multiple weeks with a hamstring injury. The guy's injury prone. Okay? He was great for the Pelicans, and then he got injured again. Then the Pelicans were on a bad losing streak. And now he's going to be out past the All-Star break. He's going to be out probably until the end of March, okay? He'll be, it's a game to this guy because Zion deep down does not want to play for this team, but he wants to get paid. He wants to be treated like a top athlete who rests every time. This is what you call rest management laziness. The guy's still out of shape, too. That's another thing, too. Zion, he looked like he lost some weight, but there's no strong body mass. There's no muscle tone. It's just him with muscle-like arms, and that's it. It's just, and I don't even sure if it's even muscle. Maybe it's just him being too skinny. I don't know, but it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. Ottawa Senators taking on the New York Islanders tonight. Boston Bruins taking on the Dallas Stars. The Bruins, yes, are 39-8-5. The Tampa Bay Lightning are 34-16-2. They're taking on the Colorado Avalanche tonight, a repeat of the rematch for the Stanley Cup final from last season. These two will go at it again. Pittsburgh are at San Jose tonight. So Penguins are at the Sharks. Blackhawks are at the Montreal Canadiens. Hurricanes are at the Capitals. No out Ovechkin. He's out dealing with a family matter. No real timetable for when he'll be returning to the team. You got Devils at the Columbus Blue Jackets. You've got the Florida Panthers taking on the St. Louis Blues, and the Seattle Kraken taking on the Winnipeg Jets later on tonight. Right now, I don't know what's going on with my timeline here, but it just froze up on here. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi in this house. Most of the time, anyway. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's not really much other news to get into here. It's just been, I'm just glad to be back. I was really having my doubts of whether or not I was going to be returning to do this podcast because I've had so much going on. But to all my subscribers, I know there's not a lot of you, but to all you that subscribe out there, thank you. To all you who take the chance and take the time to watch this podcast, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm going to sign off here because there's really not much else to talk about here. The NBA All-Star Game is this Sunday. The All-Star festivities are on Friday night with the celebrity game. The slam dunk contest is the Saturday. The three-point contest is with the skills competition. So I think they have all the skills in one night. And I think realistically, the All-Star Game is on Sunday at 8 in Utah. So, but here's my suggestion, and I know this just to be true. They never have an entertaining thing ever happen in the All-Star Game for the NBA. They never do. They have a halftime crew. They just treat like the NBA itself. That's it. A quick halftime show, and that's it. The Pro Bowl, when they had great Pro Bowl games, in the NFL, they would have little concerts, little luau, little Hawaiian girl entertainment and stuff like this. They always had that stuff. They even had a singer performance. The Super Bowl has a performance every single year. 35, 40-minute halftime show. The NBA All-Star, I can tell you right now, has their festivities that open up the show, and that's it. The All-Star Game is treated like a regular season NBA game. That might as well be a preseason exhibition with nobody playing defense. At least make the halftime shows entertaining. That's all I got to say. Have the slam dunk contest be on the All-Star Game night. I'm just saying. Give it at least an hour. It's not like these guys really need to rest up and really keep themselves warmed up. Nobody cares about the All-Star Game. But if you put the All-Star dunk contest into this thing, or at least a concert at the same time, and maybe have these guys practice outside or warm up or whatever, or go in an indoor court next door to your arena if there is one, do it there. That's all I got to say. That will make this NBA All-Star Series more entertaining. Because right now, I don't know who's in the slam dunk contest. I don't know who's in the three-point contest. I don't really care because I'm not going to watch it. I might watch a dunk contest, but that's it. I'm not even going to watch the All-Star Game. I'm not going to sit myself through that waste of a time All-Star Game for the NBA. As far as for college sports goes, there's not really much to go on here. Purdue is no longer number one. They lost in 2 upsets, actually. They lost last week to Indiana Hoosiers, and they lost to Northwestern. So they're no longer number one. I believe now, if I'm not mistaken here, Alabama, for the first time in the first time in 30 years, they're ranked number one in college basketball. Think about that for a minute. They used to be ranked number one in football. Now they're ranked number one in college basketball. So Creighton taking on PC later on tonight at 7:30. Not really a lot of big stuff going on. I wish I had my phone to look up the other stuff. Unfortunately, my ESPN timeline just failed. I'm going to try it again here, see what the hell happens. Because I know there's more college basketball games on. I'm going to try to get these out of the way and make this quick as possible because I've had a long day. I've been up since 4 a.m. Ironically enough, I don't even know how I even have the energy to do this podcast, but I am. I will be here on Saturday. If you're all wondering about Michael Smith, well, I'm wondering that too. But he'll be here. He was trying to come here before I went away on the hiatus. Unfortunately, my Wi-Fi failed. So it's the router here, which has been terrible here. It's been an issue. In fact, it's such an issue that every time I try to plan for this show, it works perfectly when I'm not like I'll do a practice recording, it'll be fine. Like for the theme song and stuff like that. Like I had some Sounds of Sunday that was supposed to pop up on YouTube. Apparently they deleted the stuff I wanted to use, which I don't know why they did that. Apparently a lot of people have been having trouble saving that stuff in their file. So it's been almost impossible to try and work with YouTube here, trying to work with them to actually give me actual results of who's been watching my shows. Half the time I get results that don't make any freaking sense. Like there's episodes that get deleted, they get removed. There's never really a reason for it. It just happens. I'm not sure why this is taking so long to pull this up, but Notre Dame's playing Duke later on tonight. I have North Carolina State playing Syracuse. This is according to the timeline for college basketball. I don't have them playing each other, but that's what the schedule game looks like. Got Georgetown, Seton Hall. I'm not sure why this is not working. I don't know what's going on with this website. I don't know if it's just the ESPN site is down or what it is. But anyway, as far as hockey goes, Bruin Invita Stanley Cup final prediction, I have it right now. And this is just my hot takeaway here. I think it's going to be the Bruins and the Kraken. You know, it's a expansion franchise that's trying to make a name for themselves. Going against a long-time franchise in the Boston Bruins. It'd be one hell of a story. The Bruins, I think, are going to win it in 6. I think they're going to win it in 6 games in Seattle. I think they're going to quiet that crowd down. Yolmark, Swayman, they're getting better every week. And that's it. That's all I got for this week. And for next year's Super Bowl, my prediction is Kansas City Chiefs go back and face the Philadelphia Eagles next year. Same matchup, this time in Las Vegas. All right, see you all Saturday. I'm out.